Okay, in this video I'm going to be discussing how to find percent of a number. Percent of a number is a pretty easy thing to do, so this video won't be terribly long. Um, so the first thing is, in order to find percent of a number, you have to change the percent to a decimal. That's the most important part. If you can't change that percent to a decimal, you're not going to be able to do this. Okay, and then the step 2 is just to multiply the numbers. So it's a pretty simple process. So for example, if I'm looking for 30% of 50, we need to remember that the word of always means to multiply in mathematics, okay? The 30% is a whole number, which means that there is an imaginary decimal on 30% right here, okay? We need to turn that into that percent into a decimal by moving this decimal back 2 places. So 30% will actually become 0.3. I don't need this I don't need this trailing 0 because it doesn't change the value of the number. So then I'm just going to multiply 50 times 0.3. And for me, when I'm multiplying, I like to put whatever number has the most digits on top. It really doesn't make a difference. It's just that my brain works better that way. So now I'm going to go 3 times 0 is 0, and 3 times 5 is 15. Now, if you remember about multiplying decimals, you'll remember that when you are done multiplying, you just multiply like normal, and then when you are done multiplying, you have to look at the original problem and see how many digits are after the decimal in the problem. That's how many digits will be after the decimal in your answer. Notice that in this one, we've kind of brought the decimal straight down, but that will not always happen. Okay, sometimes the decimal would be in a different place. The only reason I'm putting the decimal right here is because there's 1 digit after my decimal in my problem. There'll be 1 digit after the decimal in my answer. So 30% of 50 is 15. This is not a percent. This is 30% of 50. And maybe this is $50. So let's say I had $50. I was going to give you 30% of it. Well, I would be giving you $15. Okay, so it's important that you understand that this is not a percentage. All right, 200% of 24. So again, there's that 200%, which is a whole number, which means the decimal for it is here. I'm going to take that decimal and move it back 2 places, which just makes it 2. These trailing zeros go away. So I'm doing 24 times 2. 24 times 2 is 48. So 200% of 24 is 48. Okay, so let's try a word problem. Huff Fines Middle School has about 900 students. If 42% of the students bought lunch on Monday, how many students bought lunch on Monday? So this is not a trick question. There's no not trick. There's nothing else that's really messing with us here. So we're just trying to find, basically we're trying to find 42% of 900. Okay, and if it helps you to write it out this way when you pull that information from the problem, then do it. It's not going to hurt you. So now we're going to take that 42%, move that decimal back 2 places. So 0.42 of 900. So I'm going to go over here and do my multiplication, and I might run out of room, so I'm going to write small. 2 times 0, 2 times 0, 2 times 9 is 18. Whoops, I guess I didn't need to carry the 1 there, did I? And then I put a 0 as a placeholder. 4 times 0, 4 times 0, 4 times 9 is 36. I add these together, and then I count 1, 2 digits after my decimal place in my problem. So there'll be 1, 2 digits after my decimal place in my answer. So 378, and again, this is not percent, this is students. This is the number of students who bought lunch on Monday. Barnett Middle School has about 825 students. If 36% of the students are in choir, how many of the students are not in choir? So this is a question where they're trying to trick you, because the normal kid is just going to think, oh, 36% of 825, but you've got to be smarter than the normal kid. Okay, you've got to figure out, you're going to have to subtract, because, and there's 2 ways you can do it. You can either figure out 36% of 825 and then subtract that number from 825, or you can just subtract from the beginning, which I think is easier, because we know that 825 is 100% of the students. 36% of them are in choir, and we're looking for how many students are not in choir. 64% are not in choir, so I'm really looking for 64% of 825. So I'm going to do 825 times 0.64, and then I'm just going to multiply. So 4 times 5 is 20, 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10, 4 times 8 is 32, plus 1 is 33. Put my 0 as a placeholder. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 is 15. And 6 times 8 is 56, plus 1 is 57. Wow, that was a terrible, terrible, terrible. I'm a math teacher. I should be better than this, shouldn't I? 6 times 8 is 48. It's very early in the morning. You'll have to forgive me. Okay, so 6 times 8 is 48, plus 1 is 49. I knew I'd done something wrong. 8, and then this is 12, and then this is 5. I've got 2 digits after my decimal in the question, so I'll have 2 digits after the decimal in the answer. Again, those are trailing zeros, so my answer is just 528 students who are in choir. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop there with this particular video. So I hope that helps you with finding percent of a number.